Welcome to the Rocky Mountain AI Interest Group. The following presentation, AI Entrepreneurship, CEO Insights, took place on October the 14th, 2024 at the Atlas Building on the CU Boulder campus. Presentations in this video include a presentation made by Jon Nordmark, co-founder and CEO of Iterate.ai, and Andy Walters, AI engineer and entrepreneur. Chapter markers are provided below in the description field for you to navigate to each of these presentations. And a big thanks to Jason Cormier for emceeing the meeting. Jason runs the AI Marketing Forum, which is a subgroup of the Rocky Mountain AI Interest Group.
So what I was asked to talk about was the challenges and opportunities for running an AI company. Look at the way a person in my shoes might foster innovation in a company like ours. And then be able to scale it up, because it's got to go beyond the idea into a scalable company. And I want to leave everyone, hopefully, with some practical ideas, valuable takeaways for those of you starting your companies. I'm sure I have a lot. I saw a lot of you have started companies, so I'm sure you'd have a lot to teach me too. So just some background on me. Some of this is timeless. It doesn't matter what kind of a company you work for. But I've got no formal technical training. I'm a business guy. I can't code, can't design. I'm a team builder, though. And by that, I mean I enable, I orchestrate, I learn, I do a lot of listening. I'm a salesperson for customers, biz dev, and investors. I'm a money tracker. Like right now, I'm kind of operating as a CFO in our company, and I'm a frugal person. Opportunity identifier, idea generator, experimenter. And in our company, we like to say we're a company of doers and doers, not managers and doers. Everyone gets something done and everyone gets their hands dirty. I've built two types of companies. One is the hypergrowth at all costs, VC backed. I raise money from top tier VC firms like Benchmark Capital, Technology, Crossover Ventures. But then the one I'm doing now is more patient and experimental. It's bootstrapped. Although we're about to raise a fair amount of money. I've raised $49 million over the years and had 15 exits from startups that I started. First one I did, though, was crazy. I spent all my savings to get it going. I was in my early 30s. Put $60,000 in a credit card, $60,000 second mortgage, 401k got cashed out, no salary for a year. It's one of those, looking back, I'm glad it worked. But what was really funny was, when you're starting something brand new, and a lot of you are probably in these shoes, when you're brand new and you're all by yourself, you're the CEO of the Kool-Aid stand. And that's one thing that I always remember is going to a conference and, they ask what you do. I'm the CEO of this company. Oh, how many people work with you? None. Yeah. But anyway, I've been there. These 4 people joined me. They were co-founders. They came a year after I started Ebex. This is Ebex, by the way. And they all agreed to work for the company by paying $50,000. So instead of getting paid, they paid the company to keep it going. We tried to raise money. It was back, years ago, before LinkedIn, before Facebook. It was the late 90s. And we could not get anyone to give us any money. We had 200 rejections. And the reason I know that, we sent out 200 business plans, and all of them, not one of them resulted in cash. So, but we did end up raising $30 million. And what a great story was, I decided I couldn't afford to go to this organization called shop.org. It was very beginning of e-commerce. It was the second conference they ever did on e-commerce. I couldn't go because I had no more money. I could figure out, I had 4 months to be able to make my house payment, and then it was lights out. So I told my partners I couldn't go. All those guys on that screen said, no, if you're going to call yourself the CEO, you got to show up. So I dug into my house payments, went out to this show, and 100 people were there. And thankfully I went because I met a guy from Mitsubishi. He was from Japan. And when we really needed money, they flew 5 people in from Japan, in the spur of the moment, and put $500,000 into the company to keep us going. And then I sat down with a kid at a table and at that show, and he was like a 24-year-old kid. And I thought, oh my gosh, this is like the worst kid that could have sat next to me because I'm looking for money. And but it turned out he was a banker, and his boss flew in to see us right away, and he too put $250,000 in himself. His friend put $250,000 in, and that was the beginning of Ebex. And then that led to introductions. Like they introduced us to Benchmark Capital. They actually said, one of the bankers, he said, have you gone out to Silicon Valley? I said, no, but we've had 200 business plans, like couldn't raise any money. And he was like, no. It's not about how smart you are or what you could do. It's about who you know. And guess what? There comes Benchmark Capital. And by then we'd raised almost $6 million from angels though. And Benchmark forced us to send $2 million back to take $4 million from them. But that led to more introductions, TCB and Amarindo. We raised $30 million over time, but they never paid me more than $70,000 on a salary. And the reason was they wanted me aligned with them for an exit. That's what we're going for. That's one reason I'm bootstrapping today as much as I could, because I want to control. And we have 2 board members, versus VCs on the board. And I know that's not what every organization goes through, but that's what we went through. So build your network. That's the takeaway. Build your network. You never know. It's all about serendipity, I think, unplanned. This company is highly experimental. Our team, these are all kids from CU, right up here. Most of them were hired right out of college. It's our marketing team at eBax. They're one of the most creative groups of people I ever worked with. And what happened in the beginning, it cost us $1 to get 50 cents in revenue in the beginning. That's the cost of acquisition. And we could figure out at one point, we had a certain period of time to live based on how much money we made. But these kids, with one kind of senior leader, Peter, they figured out how to get those costs right. And they got it pretty fast in about 2 years to $13 in revenue for every dollar spent. And it was because we became one of the most highly experimental companies on the web, and all the large companies looked at us as a place to learn. But it was because of the young people. And I believe that culture eats, strategy for breakfast. That's attributed to Steve Jobs, Jack Welch, not Peter Drucker. But the main reason is I think the culture is what fuels all the creativity and stuff like that. And that's what I'm there to foster today in my company, eBax. Clients don't come first, employees come first, I believe. Because if you take care of your employees and the people you work with, they'll take care of the clients. We have something at eBags we call the joy factor. If someone doesn't contribute the joy factor of the company, we don't want to work with you. So treat people well. Warren Buffett says, you'll always move in the direction of the people you associate with. It's important to associate with people that are better than yourself. And I believe that. This I wanted to show because it's a letter with Mitsubishi when they invested into eBax, they required that we took a person into the company from Japan. So this guy, Jun Sano, came and worked with us. And the day he had to go home, and this is him, we would dress up and come to work some days. The day he had to come home, he would go, hi, thank you very much for the wonderful party last night. It was a going away party. I could not sleep last night due to the excitement of things, of thinking of many, many good memories here. Yesterday was the second most impressed day of my life. Number 1 is my wedding day in 1986. Number 2 is yesterday and the day of my first son's birth, and I have to leave there, blah, blah, blah. But I think that's what it's all about. That's the culture you want to try to create. Obviously, you want to work hard, and we did. But you want people to love to work together because then they'll produce great results. These are what happened at eBags when I was at CEO. We grew on average, like after the first 2 years, which was really, really fast growth, we had a CAGR of 34% a year. For the rest of the time I was there, we were profitable. We never did a down round. Many, many things to be proud of, but it was hard to sell the company. Amazon made us, or Liberty Media tried to buy us, but our VCs wouldn't take the offer because even though it would have made people 10 times their money back, 10 times in 6 years, they turned down the offer, and we had to just keep going. And what I learned through that is when you become part of a VC portfolio, it's all about the portfolio, not your company. And their portfolio at Benchmark Capital was not doing that well in Fund 3. So we were there to save them, in a sense. And it didn't happen, but we were expected to be an outlier. We got a bad offer a year later, $40 million, and then we got Amazon came in, and it wasn't going to be that good. But the point of this is you never know. Like, what the market's going to look like and what you're going to get offered. It's hard to get acquired. And we were lucky in the end it happened. From eBags, I started working in Kiev, Ukraine, and that's where I met my current founder. We were helping startups. It was kind of like a Techstars of Eastern Europe, called Happy Farm. And my new partner, which I worked with for 13 years, is Brian Nathan. He worked in Apple Secret Products for 6 years, inventing. He has patents on the first iPhone. He knows a lot about chips, a lot about software, operating systems, and he's an immigrant from Sri Lanka. Just an amazing partner, and he's a compliment to me because I'm a business guy. What we learned there was that the cost of starting startups was really low. Like, we were meeting all these Ukrainian and Russian and Kazakhstanian, Moldovan entrepreneurs, and they were building amazing software. What they didn't have was a network. They didn't know how to reach out to the Western companies, so that's how we kind of decided to start Iterate. And but during that period, that's where we realized the book called "The World Is Flat" by Thomas Friedman is true. The cost, what we read later, is about that time we're in Ukraine, you could start a digital startup for about $5,000 versus $5 million when eBags started. So that was the beginning of eBags. Of Iterate, we decided we wouldn't raise money, or very little. We did 6 people for 5 years, raised very little money, meager salaries, hand to mouth. We didn't have things like lawyers. Oops, sorry. We knew we had to live longer than the learning curve. We had to be highly experimental and try to find a product market fit. Now we're 11 years old. We've got 100 people, 30 employees, 70 contractors. We built that on $3 million invested. We have a heavy R&D focused. In the last year, we spent 70% of our revenues on R&D and major partnerships, which has led to us, we're raising a little money right now because we nearly ran out. But we were doing, the work we were doing is trying to figure out how to run AI on CPU chips and the new like the NPUs, but especially the CPUs that are coming out, because we felt like GPUs may not be the path to inference. The CPU is the path to inference for practical day-to-day companies. So anyway, we worked also for 7 months with no money. Then we worked 2 years for $80,000 a year. I'm saying that just to help you understand how I start companies. But the only reason we raised any money was we did have a few people that needed to make a salary, a pretty good one. And looking back, I'm not sure I would have done that again, but we did. But we stuck with angels, and then we did a second angel round. So our first one was 900,000, the second one was 600,000. But again, this is all about the network, like being able to go to people, I think the round we're doing right now, we had about $30 million in soft commits, all from people, no VCs, just people. And it's all because, we got traction, but it's because we got a lot of people we know by this time too. Ulta, actually, they became our very first customer when we were 6 people, big customer where they wanted to do a $10 million deal with us over 3 years. But to do that, they wanted to invest. So after 6 months of saying no, we finally said, we got to get this deal. So we ended up letting them invest, but they had to do no board seats and they could be an observer on the board, which is what we did. They've been a great partner and investor. So we started in 2013. About a year into it, we got a deal with Capgemini that paid us $1 million a year, but we were doing consulting. And that's another piece of advice. It's great to pay the bills with consulting as you're trying to build software. And that's what we did. We changed our name from the .com here to .ai in February 2015. So that's when we started seeing this was coming. And then we started to try to figure out what to do. My partner again, he said, software was not in our original plan, but he always was trying to think about what we could do with software. So the first thing we did was built an AI or a low-code AI platform. It was really built for emerging technologies. You can see our revenue there was $1 million a year. That platform today, which this guy who has a PhD in swarm computing and works for us, that's AI, big data, and IoT together, built this platform that has over 4,000 nodes in it. It actually speeds up versus slows down processing of AI and other computer applications, which is unique to low code. And it also is fully customizable in each node. When we started that, people didn't know what it was. And one thing I always like to say, this goes back to the eBags days, is really an idea is an idea when no one agrees with you. Like, otherwise it's not an idea. And so to make good moves in a lot of startups, you got to move when everyone thinks you're crazy. And you're doing it with a lot of thought, but you got to expect a lot of no's and a lot of skepticism too. You just stay the course as long as you believe what you're doing is right. I love this because this is what was written about Amazon back in the early days, where they were called Amazon.bomb. And basically they're just saying this thing will never work. But what I love about Jeff Bezos is this quote that he says, if everything you do needs to work on a 3-year time horizon, then you're competing with a lot of people. But if you're willing to invest in a 7-year time horizon, you're competing against a fraction of people. And that's what very few companies are willing to do. And I think that's what we've done as a startup. But the thing is, if you're bootstrapping, you can do that. If you go raise venture, it's very hard to do that because they're on a time scale of their limited partners, and they will expect an exit within 10 years if you're at the very beginning of their fund. But it could be seven years if you're not. Another Bezos, this is Wall Street saying, why would you use your technology to run other people's stores? I mean, think about that. That's what became AWS, but everybody in Wall Street was criticizing them when they went down that path. And again, he says, we've had a few ideas over the past 18 years at Amazon, and there are 3 that are important: customer first, invent, and then also be patient. And I highlight be patient because that's what you got to do. And know if you're coming in AI, which all of you are, it's a long haul. Like, there's going to be a lot of growth in this over many years coming up. So just be patient and build into the curve. We now have a platform with runtime. We've got 4 different apps, the top 4 that we've built that we sell as products. Then we have a transformation service. That's kind of our consulting service that we offered in the very beginning. And we have an AI Explorer email, which is for all, but it's to keep people informed in various industries what's going on with AI. We've been able to build into all these partnerships and winning awards. But the biggest thing to me, we started down here and we started working with Alta, and then like Circle K. We got MUFG, the biggest bank in Asia, outside of China. We're building custom AI for all those companies. But what happened was, as the generative AI came out, it became, people can't run it on the GPUs like for these big companies. So we started figuring out, we got to go figure out how to run AI on CPUs. And that's what led to Intel, Qualcomm, because we can put a whole large language model on a little motherboard with an AI, a CPU, and a GPU, a tiny one, GPU, NPU, and CPU on one little motherboard and run it. We can run the memory on device, and that's what's led to all these partnerships. And I won't go on into them here, but it's been a real special place to be. That's why we spent 70% of our revenues last year on just R&D to figure out how to do that. So where are we going? Like Jason mentioned, we're going into the AI PC world. So Intel chips reside in 75% of all PCs that are shipped in the world. Their goal has to be to maintain that market share. And so what they've developed are these AI PCs. There are going to be 101 million of them sold next year. 75% of those will be all Intel inside. And what they need are applications that can run on those chips, 100%. So we built an AI that will do that. The difference is, think of this as like a bunch of GPU clusters out in the cloud. That's what everyone else is running on today. We run on a little device, a little PC, 100% locally, doesn't need to run on the web. It can go to the web, but doesn't have to. And then we also have a RAG that'll do like 10,000 documents all at a time. And so we've got some pretty special product that my team has built, not me. They're the brains behind this. So it connects into QuickBooks. It connects into Monday.com. So it becomes the LLM for that. And then it also connects into all your personal PDFs and stuff on your computer. It operates with a GPU, NPU, CPU infrastructure that's all very tiny, housed inside the computer itself, the PC. And it's really important because, the GDP is expected to grow as much as 10% just based on generative AI over the upcoming years. And you all know that. One of the other really important things, though, that we built is sustainable AI. One ChatGPT search takes about 10 times as much energy as a search on Google. And we actually operate on 10 to 100 times less than a search on a GPU in terms of wattage required to run the search. Differences are advantages. My advice is to be nimble and move fast. If you're a startup, if you're a big company, that's why, that's what holds you back. You can't move fast. So what we do now is, we've changed over the years from consulting all the way to this, where we excel at making AI operational in complex and resource-constrained environments, from AI PCs in the home office to edge devices in retail stores. We can run AI in local, and this is important, private systems, and with minimal hardware. And we can work with companies that have strict compliance requirements. And then finally, we're ideal for organizations that really care about the environment, because we can process the AI at a way more sustainable level than most other AI companies. So remember that change is constant. That's important for CEOs and founders to always remember. That because that's what you're part of when you're starting companies. But my belief is bureaucracy is really bad in a startup. That's why small boards are good. eBags got hampered. We had like an 8-person board at the end, and it was all these venture people. It was like fights. Like, it was just the dreaded board meeting. Now it's just my partner and I. We can talk anytime. Do you want to do this? Yeah, let's do it. It's that easy. That's our board meeting. Hire doers and doers, enable others, listen, and adjust. The world is the next talk, I think, is about agents, and that's where we're headed to. We're going to be able to run agents right on those PCs. And, it's the big breakthrough. Like, my partner is just so excited about this, Brian is. And as an entrepreneur, I think you got to remember, you're an inventor and a business developer, but you're also a business and boardroom architect. And that's a whole nother set of stories. I could go on and on about the boardroom stories from eBags. I very much dreaded part of work as the companies grow. But remember, too, it's a we game. It's not a me game. Like, the bigger you get, the more it's a we game. And today, though, it's a brain game, too. It's not about money. So that's it. Thank you.
But how many of you are excited about AI PCs? Okay, pretty much the whole room. How many of you feel like you have a clear roadmap to integrating AI into your life and into your business? Okay, not that many. And how many of you who raised your hands just like? It's tricky, right? AI has fundamentally upended so much. The human-computer interaction paradigm has completely changed. Now, all of a sudden, AI can pass the Turing test. We can talk to machines in natural language. Never before has that happened. So how in the world do we bring it into our lives, into our businesses in a way that brings value? Well, I'm going to share with you 4 lessons that I've learned over the last 10 months building a generative AI consultancy. So, lesson number 1. Good things can come from failure. So 2.5 years ago, probably like many people in this room, I got super excited about GPT-3. This was before ChatGPT, so that's my big claim to fame with AI, is I was in before ChatGPT, which is like not much considering those of us in this room have been doing it for decades. But that's what I got really excited about. I dove in super deep. I had a software engineering background. I mainlined YouTube videos, white papers, books, and tried to learn as much as I could. I got the Reddit username GPT-3 for life, which didn't turn out to be a great plan because we're already on GPT-4. But I decided to start a company. This was really the first SaaS company I ever tried to build, and I named it Lexi.ai. The long and the short of it is it was basically a complete failure. But we pivoted through just about every use case you can imagine under the sun. So I'm not even showing all the pivots that we made here, but I'll show you a few of them. So this is one of them. It was an AI search engine. How many of you use perplexity.ai? Yeah. If only I had done a better job, you might have raised your hand when I said, how many of you use perplexity.ai? At one point, we were totally in feature parity with perplexity.ai. They just had better funding, better know-how, better marketing, probably a lot of other stuff we didn't have. And so the idea didn't work for us, but it was a great idea. Next, we decided to build, we had this great idea, what if we could build a way for people to build their own AI bots? And so we built this system, we called it no-code ChatGPT Builder, and we launched it, and about a month later, who can guess the product that OpenAI put out that killed us? Custom GPTs, right? So OpenAI launched custom GPTs, everybody could do it, it was free, and that whole business model was toast, right? Okay, bummer. So then we moved on to another use case, which was like an extremely obvious use case, and in a highly commoditized space. Somehow or another, we managed to get this like mildly profitable, not profitable enough to like feed ourselves, but just like be making money. And this was a AI article publisher. We thought maybe we could have a way to differentiate by getting the AI to write in a different way, by being sort of clever about how we're using the LLMs. Like I said, it never really took off. So every day I woke up during those years that I was running that company, feeling like there was a tiger chasing my tail. And I didn't know what to do. I just kept running. And finally, only 10 months ago, I made one of the best decisions I've ever made, which is a great lesson to learn in business, which is to know when to let go. So I took that company, put it on the back, and I decided to just look at what I'd done, look through my failures, and try and figure out what the hell do I do next, right? What I found was, well, one way of looking at everything was failures, but another way of looking at it was also just taught myself how to build some cool stuff with AI. And at that point, I was just a solo dev. And so I figured, life gives you lemons, you make lemonade. So here's the lesson for you. The biggest risk is not failure, it's failing to act. Because if I hadn't had those failures, I wouldn't be standing here today to tell you about the company that I did build that was successful. So get out there and try. You never know. Lesson number 2. Your weakness can be your strength. So every agency that starts has a huge problem, which is how the heck do I get clients? That's where I was. I was a solo dev, didn't have any clients. And when you're in that position and you don't have great connections, it can feel really difficult. Like, how in the world do I move forward? Some people, like this CEO that I took a random stock photo of, they have amazing connections, right? Like you were just telling that story, like, oh yeah, we just like got this $1 million contract, like consulting. Cool, I don't have any of those friends. So I had to figure out like, okay, how do I build something anyway, right? Without that advantage. So I built an engine. I did the only thing I could think of, which is try little experiments in every possible marketing channel that there is. And I did try LinkedIn ads, Facebook, Google ads, email, you name it, I probably tried it. Most of them didn't work out, but a few of them did. And we've actually had like weirdly good success with cold email. I never would have guessed that, not in a million years. But it turned out it worked, and we started to get clients. And here it is, over the last 10 months, we finally cleared the 100,000 mark. So on an annualized basis, we are 7 figures, and we're hoping to clear $1 million this year. So the lesson is, disadvantages are just opportunities cloaked in fear. You can take what are the disadvantages that you think you have, if you can find a way through those, you can actually make them huge strengths. Because here's the thing, when I go to sell this company, I am no longer in the sales process in terms of the top of funnel. But if I had started the company as a CEO with amazing connections, it's way harder to sell that company because then I have to go with the company in order for it to be valuable. Lesson number 3. It's the problem that matters. AI can feel like magic. It's so new. It's absolutely insane that we can talk to computers and they can talk back. It's evolving so rapidly. We don't fully understand its capabilities. And so I think it's very easy to lose our bearings when we think about how we can find the value with it. And we don't know what to reach for to ground us. So I want to share with you an extremely simple framework that can ground you as you're thinking about where to find the value. So value. What is value? Simple equation, return minus cost. So the dollars that come in the door as a result of building something, minus the dollars that went out the door to pay for that thing. Not complicated, right? Yet people somehow lose their sense of this very basic equation when it comes to AI. Because AI has cool bells and cool whistles. What if I just built a lot of cool whistles and cool bells? Would that add up to a product that people would buy? Probably not. I'd spend a couple of years doing that. So when you look at the return side of the equation, with AI, what does that look like? Well, it could be a number of things, but one thing is a service tier upcharge. Or we've seen this be successful like a service tier, like a carrot to get you to the next service tier. That brings in revenue. Perhaps there's an entirely new product line. So that brings in revenue. Or perhaps there's reduced headcount. Or maybe there's increased creative output in your organization as a result of reclaiming time. So that is a return. Okay, what's the cost? Basic. The cost to develop the thing, cost to maintain it, fixed costs around hosting, and your variable costs. Every time you run an LLM inference, it costs a little bit of money. You put those things together, and what you're looking for is opportunities with a big delta. So this is nothing new, obviously. Like in any, like I could have said that 20 years ago about the web, right, or cloud or whatever. But we somehow, with AI, it's really easy to forget that that's what we're trying to do here. We're trying to solve problems. So let me give you a couple shortcuts, though, because although that framework is true, it can be maybe difficult to kind of get going when you get to your organization or the business you want to build or your life. So I'll give you 2 shortcuts. One is there are 4 use cases that we find, generally speaking, provide value. So one is reporting and content generation. So LLMs are really good at words, right? So they're great summarizers of data. They're also great at creating content, especially marketing content. Another thing, AI assistants, the sort of chatbot. I was at a chatbot conference like a number of years ago. There was this mug going around and it said, what do we want? Chatbots. When do we want it? Sorry, I do not understand the word. But now we actually have chatbots that work, right? Which is so cool. So we can assist users in finding information or in making a decision or in being creative. Another space emerging, we've just heard talk about it, AI agents. Huge, it's going to be huge. The technology is not totally baked yet, but having an AI that can autonomously complete tasks, we give it a goal, it figures out its sub-goals, and then it adapts the plan as circumstances change. That is massive, a massive unlock of value, and we're just at the beginning of that. And finally, multimodal AI, image, video, audio, voice, I think, is about to become an incredibly popular modality for AI. The fact that OpenAI just launched their advanced voice mode via an API really opens up a ton of possibilities. If you have people on the phone and that's their job, you can probably automate that now. A massive opportunity. Shortcut number 2, look for workflows that you can speed up by 3x or more. So if you walk into any organization, or if you walk into your customer's organization, you need to find opportunities with AI that aren't just a little bit better or even twice as fast. You want to look for something that's at least a 3x speed up. Because at 3x, it's really hard to ignore. At 2x, I've got my switching costs to consider. I've got this, the way of doing things. But at 3x, it's like, okay, let's have the conversation, right? So if you look for those kinds of opportunities, you're likely to find real value. The key to remember is, although we're so excited about generative AI, all the possibilities, it is still just a tool for solving problems. And fundamentally, as technologists who are helping people, providing value, that's what we're doing. We're solving problems. So look for the problems. Lesson number 4. We are still so early. Like, we have no idea how early we are in this wave. I'm going to take you back to the dawn of human history and the harnessing of fire. What did that do for the human race? Incredible things. It upended what it meant to be human. It opened entire new possibilities. We could cook food. We could forge tools. We could create weapons. That technological shift opened up many, many doors. Here's another one, agriculture. For the first time after humans invented agriculture, we had enough productive capacity that we could look beyond just feeding ourselves. Before that, really all of our productive capacity as a human race was engaged in just subsistence. So what did that do? Upended culture. It gave us a ton of new opportunities. It raised new challenges. The Industrial Revolution. What did that do? Well, for the first time, humans could take manual labor and outsource that to a machine. Doing stuff, putting energy in things. We can now do that with machines. And being able to outsource that, again, upended human culture, raised new possibilities, opened new challenges. And today, it's my contention that we are at the beginning of a kind of 4th era. What's changed is we have emerged into a new era where we can outsource cognitive labor. Never before have we been able to outsource at least certain kinds of cognitive. Fuzzy thinking, you just couldn't do that without a neural network, but now we can. And it's going to raise opportunities. It's going to raise challenges. And here's the thing, it's up to you, it's up to us to build the kind of future we want with this technology. It's time to merge into a brighter future. Thank you.